All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Errol Spence Jr.'s critics come flying at him after he shows a picture of himself with his shirt off and he tweets something about his 4x4 being totaled. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. All right, there's a couple boxers in boxing and through the history of boxing that have received a lot of dislike from certain types of boxing fans that I just cannot understand for the life of me. One of the guys is Andre Ward, and the other guy is Errol Spence Jr. The latest bit of stuff being thrown at Errol Spence Jr. relate to accusations of performance-enhancing drugs because of how he looked in a boxing video, and also claims of irresponsibility and immaturity because he said that his 4x4 was totaled. Before we get into that though, let me say special thank you to everybody that subscribed to the channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, and please hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release things, because there's a lot of times people say, hey, I didn't get my notification for the video. I didn't get my notification for the live stream. Well, make sure that you have that bell icon selected and that you select to get all notifications. And then you should get all notifications. Also, thank you to everybody that joins, that supports over on the Patreon and supports as a member of the channel. Thank you guys so much for your support. Now, Errol Spence Jr. Again, I don't understand what this guy has done in order to get people so upset with him. It's upset to the point that they will reach at anything that's out there to try to tear the guy down. Now, personally, I do believe that is not because those people have any issue with Errol Spence Jr. himself. I believe that they have issues with Errol Spence Jr.'s fan base and the type of fans that are attracted to Errol Spence Jr.'s style of fighting and support him in his career. That's what I believe. And some people might put a color on that. I won't put a color on that, but I think that that's what it is, because there's no other reason that I can think of that people really have to dislike Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. he talks to the media. He's a very polite young man. You've never caught him. Now he had his car accident issue, right? But even that particular car incident is something where he hurt himself. He didn't hurt anybody else, right? He gives you what you say that you want in a boxing match. He's a pressure come forward fighter that is looking for the knockout, that's making exciting fights. You know, he's all the things that people say that they want in the sport of boxing. He's got a big smile, you know, the dude he ain't too hard on the eyes, the whole nine, right? So you would think that people would come out supporting him. But no, you have people looking for some of the most ridiculous things, like the fact, and I've been talking about this for a year, other people have as well, but look, leave the man's puffy nipples alone, okay? Let the man's puffy nipples alone. Why are you focused on this man's chest? Okay, first, we have enough people who have actually tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs that we can focus on. You know what I mean? You have a guy like, and you know I'm gonna blast on Tyson Fury because this dude is dang near he's working on being the poster boy for almost everything wrong with the sport of boxing. Tyson Fury has already tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs. And you can't convince these people for anything that he would cheat at all, right? Like, look at the logic in this. You got a guy that has tested positive for performance-enhancing drugs and served a retroactive 2-year suspension for it. The guy's been called the dirtiest fighter that he has ever, that Eddie Cotton has ever seen, and Eddie Cotton was, rest in peace, a Hall of Fame referee that refereed Galata versus Riddick Bowe, and he says Tyson Fury is the dirtiest fighter he's ever seen, right? You got Martin Carefoot saying, who is retracting an alibi for Tyson Fury for his use that he used to try to get out of punishment for using performance-enhancing drugs. He can just go on and on and on. But there are people out there that will literally say, like the president of the WBC, that we will not even entertain the notion that Tyson Fury cheats. But yet, Errol Spence Jr., who has none of that on his record, he has no drug suspensions. He has no one calls him a dirty fighter. You can't show any pictures of this dude's, fighting in a ring with a glove that magically disappears from his hands, or a go-go gadget glove that extends out an extra 2 to 3 inches to give him more reach. You don't hear any of that. All you see is him do what? Whoop the tar out of Kell Brook. And since he whooped the tar out of Kell Brook, it's never to be forgiven, man. Never to be forgiven. So anyway, Errol Spence Jr. is showing, right, that and this is a case of you just can't do no right, okay? Errol Spence Jr. was getting a lot of sweat about how much weight he was putting on in between fights, being called an alcoholic and all kind of other stuff, right? So you see him posting videos in the gym where he looks close to fight weight, right? I mean, well, he doesn't look, I'll put it this way. His face doesn't look full, right? He looks like he's somewhere around 155, 160 pounds, somewhere that is within reach, right? Somewhere which is in close reach to 147. Looks like he's dedicated himself to the sport. But what do? Well, his nipples look puffy. His nipples look puffy. He's on steroids. Oh, he's on steroids. Crazy. And then Tyson, in another portion of it, now this second part of it is a little more understandable, but at the same time, you really can't criticize him about it because you don't know what he means. He goes on, Errol Spence Jr. is on Twitter and says, oh man, my 4x4 got totaled, right? His 4x4 is totaled. So people are like, oh, Errol Spence Jr. is in another car accident. He's out drinking in the middle of the night, flipping over his 4x4. What an how irresponsible can you be? Dude, you don't know what that means. Your car is totaled doesn't necessarily mean that you had a car accident. I've had a car that was totaled because the engine lit on fire, right? I had a Mazda RX, not a Mazda RX-7. What was it? It was a Nissan Maxima that I drove. Dude, we drove the wheels off that mug, right? We paid that mug off at around 100,000 miles. I was like, man, I ain't trying to have a car note until the wheels fall off this mug. And one day, shoot, I'm driving, and all of a sudden I look down, or my wife calls me. She's like, oh, this shit's on fire. Like, what? She got out the car. She saw a little bit of a flame like shoot out from where the bottom of the pedal, right? Because we had like 220,000 miles on the car at the time. So she gets out. We had comprehensive insurance, right? So they say we're gonna cover everything. Sent the car in, and the shop said, it's totaled. You can't, and it's totaled when the amount of damages, right? The amount it would cost to repair it exceeds the value of the car. That's when a car is totaled, right? Not something that you can't ever rebuild. No, the shit's totaled when, you can use that phrase, when the cost to repair it exceeds the value of the car. So you just don't know what he means by total. He said his 4x4 is totaled. You don't know if he's the one that totaled it. You just don't know, right? But to blindly speculate on it, I think is a little bit irresponsible. But hey, man, it is what it is. As long as you say you just speculating, it's not too bad. But look, neither one of those things deserve the type of hubbub that I've seen about it. Errol Spence Jr. Now, and plus, dude, there's a difference to me about what you should get on people for who are boxers. Okay. Now, and I've made this mistake myself, and I'll say I've made a mistake with Adrian Bronner, because I used to get on Adrian Bronner very, very hard about all the stupid crap that he does outside the ring, right? Has a problem with this woman, has a problem with, taking a crap in a McDonald's on his, all kind of stupid crap, right? But then you back off of it and you look at what he's done as a boxer, and you look at his now he's not won a lot of these fights, but you look at the level of competition that he's fighting, his willingness to get in there and fight tough fights and not back down from tough fights, right? And handle himself in the ring with very high level fighters. And eventually, dude, you're like, man, I got to respect Adrian Bronner and what Adrian Bronner's doing in the ring. and like overlook a little bit what's going on outside the ring because dude, what he's doing inside the ring, right? So you look at Errol Spence Jr., dude, and what is he doing? What is he doing to hurt anybody that's illegal or unseemly inside the boxing ring as it applies to the sport of boxing? And the answer to that is nothing. But you see guys like Dillian White, Jarrell Big Baby Miller, Tyson Fury, Alejandro Jimenez, Billy Joe Saunders, and Canelo Alvarez, and all these other guys that are popping dirty and coming up with these bootleg excuses for why they've got it in their system, and people overlooking it and thinking everything is cool about it. And those are things that are actually done in the ring. You know what I mean? So it's like, dude, if Errol Spence Jr. if he's gonna be irresponsible, if he's going to fail to reach his ultimate potential and all of that stuff, whatever you guys are saying, then hey man, if it's because of stuff he's doing outside the ring, hey man, that's what he does outside the ring. I wish he wouldn't do it, but that ain't my control. Until I see it actually take place in the ring, or when I see him start to harm people in the ring by cheating to make up for the fact that he might not be in the best physical shape anymore, and he might have let some of his prime years go because of his lack of conditioning. As long as he's not bringing loaded gloves into the ring or extending his, doing tricks to make up for the fact that he's losing a step, dude, and he lost a step up because of things that he did, dude, I'm not trying to hear it, man. I'm gonna support the guy. Anyway, it is what it is. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, Devin Haney being described like an all-time great fighter by Mike the Body Snatcher McCallum, who says that he will do two things. One, he says Devin Haney can knock out Vasily Lomachenko, and two, that Devin Haney versus Gervonta Davis would be like Muhammad Ali versus Joe Frazier. Very interesting parallel. Let's talk about it in this video.